The Enchanted Wood by Enid Blyton. Chapter 21. Silky's clock is very clever. Joe sat hunched up near to Moonface. Silky and Beth and Franny talked together. The white goat sat on Beth's knee and slept, and the 7 hens tried to scratch the hard floor and clucked softly. "Oh, where's my clock?" asked Silky suddenly. Everyone looked around the room for it. It wasn't there. "Oh, no, it must have been left behind in the schoolroom," said Joe. "Look, never mind, Silky. You may get it back if we get out of here in 3 hours' time."
"Oh, I hope so," said Silky. "It was a nice clock, and I liked it having feet to walk about on."
"It's lucky not to be locked up with us," said Joe gloomily. "If there was a window in this silly-round room, we might break it and escape through that, but there isn't even a small window." Yes, and there isn't a fireplace either," said Moonface. "If there was, we might squeeze up the chimney." "Hang on. Listen," he said suddenly. "I swear I heard someone knocking at the door." They listened. Certainly there was. There was someone outside, knocking gently. Come in if you can," called Moonface. "Unlock the door if the key's left in." But the key wasn't left in. No, Dame Snap had taken that away, you may be sure. "Who's there?" asked Silky.
"Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong," said a voice softly.
"It's my clock!" cried Silky excitedly. "It's come to join us!" "Oh," said Moonface, his big face going red with joy. "Tell your clock to go and get the key from somewhere and let us out, Silky."
"Oh, no, that's no good," said Silky. "I noticed that Dame Snap wore all her keys on a string that hung from her waist. The little clock could never get our key from her."
"Oh," said Moonface sadly, and everyone thought very hard.
"Ding dong," said the clock outside,
and it knocked again. "Look here, clock, it isn't any good your dinging and donging and knocking to get in," called Joe. "We are locked into this room, and we haven't got a key to get us out."
"Dong,"
said the clock dolefully. And then it gave an excited ding, and it began to dance about on its big feet, up and down, with the little door in its back open wide.
"Whatever is that clock doing?"
asked Silky in astonishment. "Maybe warming up its feet, I think," said Franny with a little giggle. But it wasn't, for it was an old clock that had to be wound up with its own key. And it was jumping about, trying to jolt its own key off the little hook inside it. At last it managed to do it. Clang! The key fell to the ground. "Whatever is your clock doing?" asked Joe to Silky. "I think it must have gone mad." But it hadn't. No, not at all. It was in fact being very sensible. It kicked at the key with one of its feet, and the key slid under the door and into the room where the children were. "Oh, look," said Moonface in astonishment. "Your clock has jiggled its key off the hook and kicked it under our door, Silky. Oh, really, it's a most peculiar clock." Joe snatched up the key. "It might fit the door." He tried the lock. It almost turned, but not quite. Oh, he was dreadfully disappointed. But then Moonface grinned. He took the key and rubbed it with a little magic powder that he kept in a box in his pocket. "Now try it," he said. So Joe slipped it back into the lock once more, and guess what? It turned right round and unlocked the door. They crowded quietly out of the room, Joe taking the clock's key with him. Silky gave the clock a hug, and it said, "Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong." "Shh," said Silky. "Don't make a sound." Okay, guys, we'll try to find our aeroplane, whispered Joe. Let's try to get out of a door into the garden. We shall soon find it then. They tiptoed down a long passage. But just as they got to the end, who should they see coming along but old Dame Snap herself? Quick, hide behind these curtains, said Joe. They slipped behind them. But Dame Snap had heard something and came up to the curtains. She was going to pull them apart when Silky's clock walked out and shouted ding-dong in her ear and trod on her toes. Dame Snap, gave a shout of rage and kicked at the clock, but she missed and it ran away down the passage and Dame Snap went running after it. Oh, good old clock, said Silky really joyfully. It just walked out and ding-donged in time. Another minute and we would have all been found. Come on, said Moonface, peeping out of the curtains. We'd better do our best to get into the garden now, whilst the old dame is out of the way. They tiptoed down a long room and came to a door leading into the garden. Just as Joe was going to open it, he pushed them all quickly back into the room. Dame Snap is coming in here, he whispered. Quick! Behind the furniture! Hide! So, quick as lightning, everyone crouched down behind the sofas and chairs whilst Dame Snap opened the door and came in grumbling. Wait till I get that clock! At that very moment, the clock came running in on its flat feet and ding-donged very rudely at her. Dame Snap picked up her long skirt and tore down the long room and up the passage after it. The children and Moonface and Silky, the hens and the goat rushed to the garden door, opened it and crowded out into the garden. Find the aeroplane, quick! cried Joe. They ran down a path and looked out for the shining aeroplane. There it is! shouted Moonface, pointing to the plane, standing waiting on the smooth grass. They all ran to it and squeezed in. I don't like leaving my clock behind, said Silky. It's been so very clever. Oh no, I wonder where it is. Look, there it is, with old Dame Snap running after it, cried Joe. Sure enough, they saw the clock come waddling out from behind a bush, chiming hard, and Dame Snap was after it, panting and very red in the face. The clock dodged neatly around a bush. Dame Snap tripped over a stone and fell down, and the clock shot away to the aeroplane. Silky helped it in. It sank down in a corner and chimed 63 times without stopping. But this time nobody minded. They thought the clock was really quite a hero. Dame Snap picked herself up and ran towards the aeroplane. Joe pressed the up handle. The engine started to whir and hum. The aeroplane quivered and shook, and finally it rose gently into the air and left Dame Snap below, looking very angry indeed. Answer this question, shouted Moonface, leaning overboard. If 5 people, 7 hens, 1 goat and a clock go up in an aeroplane, write down how many times Dame Snap will have shouted at them by the time they get home. Everyone giggled. Do be careful where we land next time, said Beth. We really must get home soon. I think I know where we are now, said Moonface, as they flew over a rather curious land where the trees were yellow and the grass was pink. If you can fly straight on till you come to a silver tower, then fly right till you come to the land of seagulls, then to the left over the 3 Bears Wood, well, we shall soon be home. Right, said Joe. He watched out for the silver tower, and when he saw it tall and gleaming, he pressed the handle marked to the right and flew on till he came to the land of seagulls. This was quite easy to know, for all around, flying on snow-white wings, were hundreds of magnificent gulls. The aeroplane had to go slowly through the crowds of the lovely birds. Joe flew to the left, and soon they were over the 3 Bears Wood and saw the rose-covered cottage where Goldilocks lived with the bears. Good! Now, it won't be long before we're home, will it? said Joe, and he flew on till he came over the Enchanted Wood, and then landed in a field not far from it. everyone jumped out.
"Oh, that was a most exciting adventure," said Franny, "but I hope we never see Dame Snap again."
"Oh, quick, catch the clock," said Beth.
"It's trying to climb out of the plane, but it's going to fall." "Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong," said the clock,
and it slid down to the ground. "Now, look, we're going to have to rush home," said Joe, picking up the shovel. "Goodbye, Silky, and goodbye, Moonface. See you soon. Beth, bring the goat, and Franny and I will shoo the hens in front of us." They left the aeroplane for Moonface and Silky to do what they wanted to do with it and set off home. And dear me, how astonished their mother was to see the green-winged hens, the snow-white goat, and a fine garden shovel. "You must have been to the Enchanted Wood," she said. "Oh, we've been much farther than that," said Joe. And they certainly had, hadn't they? So that is the end of the chapter. What do you think is going to happen when their father sees all of the things they brought back? Do you think those hens are going to lay eggs for them all? And what do you think they're going to taste like? And that little goat, do you think the little goat will be able to provide lovely milk for them all? And that night when they go to sleep, what do you think they're going to be talking about? Do you think they'll make other plans to go to the Enchanted Wood again? And do you think they might be brave enough to travel up to another land? We'll find out in the next chapter.